Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Have you ever gotten like one phone call that just totally throws your whole life upside down?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think we've all had those moments where, one piece of news just changes everything.
Yeah. And today we're diving into a story where that happens times 10. We're looking at The Last Guy on Earth, a romance novel by Serena Bowen.
It's a contemporary romance, yeah, and it's set in the world of professional hockey. So, lots of action and drama, both on and off the ice.
Definitely. If you're liking this kind of deep dive, by the way, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more.
Yeah, we love diving into these stories with you. So, this book, it's about a hockey goalie named Jethro Hale, whose life gets flipped on its head when he gets traded.
To one team he really doesn't want to go to, right?
Exactly, the Colorado Cougars. And to make matters even worse, the Cougars' head coach is someone from Jethro's past, a guy named Clay Powers.
And let me tell you, there's a lot of history there. We're going to unpack all that, the fallout from the trade and the rekindling of this complicated relationship. We'll explore those themes of second chances and dealing with the past, all without giving away any major spoilers.
You can find the link to the book on Amazon if you want to check it out. It's in the description below.
For sure. So when I was reading those excerpts you shared, what really struck me was how Jethro reacts to the news of the trade. It's not just disappointment, it's like this gut punch.
Oh, absolutely. He's literally thinking about Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
getting a new gaming console, those ordinary life things, and then bam, this news just hits him out of nowhere.
Like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
One minute he's thinking about, what to give for the holidays, and next, his whole career, his whole life is getting uprooted.
It really makes you think about those unexpected turns life throws at you, right? And how even when you think you have things planned out, something can come along and completely change the game.
And then he has that conversation with Bess, his friend, and it's clear there's something more to his reluctance about going to Colorado. He's not just bummed about the trade, it's deeper than that.
Right, he dances around it a bit, doesn't he? He's devastated about playing for Colorado, but he's avoiding saying why. And Bess, she totally picks up on it.
She knows something's up. They both know why he's freaking out,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not saying it out loud. And the way she says, "So you're not a fan," when he won't answer directly about Clay, it's like this unspoken understanding between them. It's heavy.
It's like this huge elephant in the room, right? And it just goes to show you the intensity of whatever happened between them in the past. Like, he can't even bring himself to say Clay's name.
Exactly. It makes you wonder, what could have been so bad that he'd rather be traded anywhere else on Earth?
And then that avoidance, it comes out even stronger in his confrontation with Frank Wright. He just explodes. It's not just about being traded, it's about being traded to this specific team with this specific coach. And that line he throws out about Hale being the last goalie on Earth, it's so raw.
It's like all his worst nightmares are come true at once. Poor Bess, though. She's caught in the middle. She knows their history. She gets why he's reacting this way, but she can't exactly spill the beans to anyone.
Right, it's like she's walking this tightrope between wanting to support her friend and respecting his privacy. It's tricky.
It really makes you think about those situations where our personal lives and our professional lives get all tangled up, right? Like, how do you navigate those boundaries, especially when friendships are involved?
Definitely. It's a tough spot to be in, for sure. So then we get to the part where Jethro actually arrives in Colorado, and it's interesting how he's almost immediately hyper aware of the team dynamics.
Like, he's looking for anything to distract himself from the whole Clay situation. He notices the tension between Clay and the Captain Leitner, how quiet the locker room is, how stressed Clay seems. It's like he's taking it all in.
It's almost like he's trying to read the room, figure out where he fits in, or maybe just find some ammunition to use against Clay.
Right. And then Clay drops this bomb about wanting to throw a party to welcome Jethro. And Jethro's reaction internally is priceless. He's like, "I have no money and no friends here."
It's so funny because it highlights the difference in their positions now, despite their shared past. Clay's the established coach in a new city, and Jethro's the new guy trying to find his footing.
It's like two completely different worlds colliding. And then there's the roommate situation, which just adds another layer of awkwardness to the whole thing.
Oh, yeah, Jethro is completely thrown off by Clay's gourmet cooking the fancy olives, the heavy cream. It's a far cry from Jethro's idea of a simple pasta night.
It's hilarious. And then there's Jethro's immediate worry about being able to afford to reciprocate with a fancy meal.
Yeah.
So relatable, that feeling of being caught off guard and trying to keep up appearances.
Totally. He's already dealing with the emotional turmoil of the trade and seeing Clay again, and now he's stressing about grocery budgets. That's a lot to handle.
So we've seen Jethro's side of things, his outward reactions. But what about Clay? What's going on in his head when Jethro shows up?
Well, it seems like he wasn't exactly thrilled about the trade either.
Yeah, he's trying to act professional, writing down the starting lineup, but his thoughts keep drifting back to Jethro.
And then we get that flashback to 15 years earlier, and it's clear that Clay fell hard for Jethro back then. He was heartbroken when things ended.
And that ache in his chest that he describes, it's like those feelings haven't fully gone away.
It's like a wound that's been reopened. Seeing Jethro again has brought all those old emotions back to the surface.
Right. And then we have Caitlin, the team representative, giving Clay a nudge to smooth things over after his shouting match about the trade.
It seems like Clay's displeasure wasn't exactly a secret.
So now he's got this pressure from the front office to make things work professionally while he's also wrestling with all these personal feelings resurfacing. Talk about a stressful situation.
Totally. And his internal pep talk to himself. Nobody ever died of awkwardness. It's been 15 years. You're different people now. It's like he's trying to convince himself that he can handle this.
But then he actually sees Jethro face to face, and all those rationalizations go out the window. The way his expression is described, familiar green eyes go slitty with anger. It's like this instant visceral reaction.
Years have passed, but some things haven't changed. It shows you how powerful those deep-seated emotional responses can be.
And their actual first conversation, it's a train wreck. Jethro is so curt and dismissive he barely acknowledges Clay. It's like he's trying to shut him out completely.
And Clay, he insists on talking, even going as far as leading Jethro to his office. It's like he's determined to address the situation head on, even if it's super awkward.
Is he trying to take control, or is there a genuine desire to find some common ground? What do you think?
It's probably a bit of both, right? He's the coach he needs to establish a professional dynamic, but he also wants to understand why Jethro is reacting so strongly. Maybe there's a part of him that hopes they can work things out.
And once they're in his office, Clay's attempt to make things right, it feels so forced. Like he's following a script for a situation that has no script.
Exactly. He says things like, let's get past this awkward moment and play some great hockey. But it all sounds a bit hollow under the circumstances.
It's like he's trying to use these generic coach phrases to bridge this massive gap between them. And then he offers to make things comfortable for Jethro's family, which in any other situation would be a kind gesture, but here it just feels weird given their past.
Right, like they're not just any two people trying to get along. They have this whole history between them that can't just be ignored.
Exactly. And you can tell Clay's also thinking about the bigger picture. He's about to tell his team about this major trade, and he's got to figure out how to handle the fact that this new player is someone he has this messy past with. It's a lot to process.
Meanwhile, Jethro arrives in the locker room, and it's not exactly a warm welcome. He finds out he's the backup goalie, which must be a blow to his ego.
Yeah.
And then you have Kapowski and Stoneman trying to be friendly, offering to go out for drinks, but it's all so superficial.
Jethro's not having any of it. His agreement to go out is so obviously fake, especially since we know he doesn't drink. It's like he's shutting everyone out.
He's building walls around himself, trying to protect himself from getting hurt again. And then we get another glimpse into Clay's past a phone call with his sister, where he talks about making progress with someone, presumably Jethro.
But then we see the contrast with his father, who disapproves of his choices in life, his business management major, the fact that he's not following a more traditional path. It's like he's always felt this pressure to prove himself.
Like he's never quite good enough in his father's eyes. And on top of that, he's dealing with the responsibility of taking care of his nephew Toby while juggling his demanding hockey schedule.
And that whole custody situation, it wasn't permanent. It was temporary, and there was a lot of turmoil surrounding it. It's like Clay has always had to handle these difficult situations, even at a young age.
It makes you wonder how all that instability has shaped him, how it's affected his relationships and his ability to trust.
Totally. And then we get to that first team scrimmage, and it's a mess. Jethro is red-faced and panting, clearly not performing at his best.
And Clay, internally, he's struggling with how to coach him. It's like he can't separate the personal from the professional. How do you give objective feedback to someone who you have this whole history with?
He even says to himself, how do I coach this guy? There's no rule book for this. It's a unique and super challenging situation.
And Kapowski, he picks up on the tension immediately. He notices that something's off with the new guy, the lack of a formal introduction, the rumors about Clay not wanting him. It's all there, simmering beneath the surface.
And Kabowski's question about it forces Clay to address the situation, even if it's just superficially. He admits that the trade was a surprise and that both he and Jethro need to pull it together for the sake of the team.
It's his way of trying to maintain a sense of control and professionalism, but you can tell he's just as uncertain about how things are going to play out as everyone else.
So looking at everything that's happened so far, what are the biggest conflicts and tensions that stand out to you?
Well, the biggest one is obviously the clash between Clay and Jethro's past and their present. They have all this unresolved baggage, and now they're forced to work together in this high-pressure environment.
And that tension, it's affecting the whole team dynamic. It's like
Mhm.
this powder keg waiting to explode.
Exactly. The awkwardness, the resentment, it's all there, creating this huge obstacle for them to overcome both individually and as a team.
It's like they're both trapped in this pressure cooker of emotions and professional expectations.
So, given all that, what do you think? What are the biggest challenges they're going to face moving forward? Can they rebuild their personal connection or even just manage a functional working relationship?
It's a tough one. The world of professional sports, it's so intense, it magnifies everything. Every interaction, every win, every loss is going to be seen through the lens of their shared history.
And trust, which is broken somewhere along the lines, can be incredibly hard to rebuild under that kind of scrutiny.
Even if they don't end up back together romantically, just being able to work together effectively is going to take a lot of maturity and a willingness to put the team first.
Whether those past wounds can truly heal under that kind of pressure, it's a question that's hanging over everything.
It really makes you think about the lasting impact of our past relationships and how those experiences can shape our present in unexpected ways.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating exploration of how our personal lives can intersect with our professional lives and the challenges that arise when those boundaries get blurred.
Well, this has been a really interesting deep dive. Thanks for joining me.
My pleasure.
And thanks to all of you for listening. What was your favorite part of the discussion? What surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like and share it with your friends. We'd love to hear your thoughts.